In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Hey guys, it's Mizzy and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed up world. Welcome to the live show. I am having some technical difficulty and I'm trying to figure out how to get the Zoom up. For some reason it's not loading for me. But I wanted to come on and make sure that I let you guys know what was going on. So it is going to be a moment. I'm trying to get it to work. If you guys want to hold on for 1 second, I just wanted to make sure I came on and told you guys what was going on. Excuse me for 1 second. I just want to make a quick phone call, see if somebody can help me. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys, I'm working on it. Hopefully I'll get it up in like a couple minutes. Give me 1 more minute. Sorry, guys. I apologize.
discovery advanced the theory that Ms. Birchmore was murdered, but the complaint itself, as I said, sounds in negligence. So we have competing claims, a negligence claim versus the theory that Ms. Birchmore was murdered, but the complaint itself, as I said, sounds in negligence. Since there,
but doesn't the complaint, excuse me, sir, Mr. Stowe, doesn't the complaint allege an action under the wrongful death statute? Doesn't the complaint, excuse me, sir,
I don't know where the feedback is, Judge.
I took care of it, Your Honor.
All right. So my question, Mr. Stowe, is the complaint appears to allege an action under the Wrongful Death Act, which does encompass negligence, but also willful and wanton behavior.
Right. I agree. But
so what is unclear? Why is a more definite statement required under these circumstances?
Well, under these circumstances, Your Honor, the counts themselves claim that Ms. Birchmore was not was committed suicide and she was not murdered. I don't know at this point. If we have the competing claims, we have a negligence claim, which most of them sound in negligence. Several of them were titled negligence. We don't know what kind of undue influence was resulted in Ms. Birchmore's murder. I'm sorry, suicide. In this case, now it's turned to murder. I don't know what I'm defending, Judge. Am I defending a case where I've got a murder case, I'm somehow complicit in a murder, or am I involved in a case where there's negligence? If I'm complicit in a murder,
Mr. Stowe, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but there is no such thing as a civil case sounding in murder. Murder is not a tort.
I agree. The assault and battery would be the tort.
So you do know that you're not defending a case based on an allegation of murder.
Correct. But
okay, so what is it that confuses you?
What confuses me is I have a claim that says that Ms. Birchmore died from suicide, but now the plaintiffs are coming forward and saying that no, it wasn't a suicide, that it was an intentional tort, otherwise known as murder. Now, I don't know if I'm...
Wait a minute. There is no intentional tort of murder.
Right. There's an intentional tort of assault and battery.
Okay.
Suggests that would encompass as a lesser it's a lesser included of a murder in the criminal realm.
This isn't a criminal case.
I agree.
I honestly don't understand what confuses you.
I don't know whether I'm looking for alibi witnesses to defend myself on an intentional tort action, or I'm looking at the reasonableness, or I'm looking towards a reasonableness of running an explorers program. I don't know if I basically the way the case is shaken out is I don't know if I'm complicit in a criminal case or I'm simply defending a civil action for negligence. I don't know where I am. That's the problem. Am I looking for...
All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor. I don't know if I'm looking for alibi witnesses or I'm looking for other defenses under the criminal statutes, or I'm looking for defenses under the civil statutes for negligence. I don't know where I am, and they won't tell me.
All right, Mr. Marullo, what do you say?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the complaint is quite clear. It went through several variations as facts came out originally. The second amended complaint, as all the prior complaints, used the words alleged suicide. That pretty much puts counsel on notice that the plaintiff was questioning whether it was a suicide or not. Now, what's the relevance of that issue anyway? Regardless of whether she was murdered or whether she committed suicide, the allegations go to grooming, denial of civil rights, very little to do with negligence here. And citing the Walensky case and looking into wanton and reckless behavior, honestly, Your Honor, I think if you look at the police chief's public statement, she basically says that these three actors proceeded to manipulate her, use her, and abuse her. Pretty clear what the police chief was saying as one of the co-defendants in this case, not the chief herself, but the town of Stoughton. So honestly, Your Honor, I've read the motion a number of times, and I still can't figure out what to do in response to it in terms of if I had to amend the complaint. Even using the analogy as Attorney Stowe did, if you want to look at the criminal side, he's concerned, well, maybe I'm defending a criminal case. Well, we're alleging, since they worked in collusion with each other, it's very similar to the criminal side where you say felony murder rule. Here we're saying they all worked in concert to groom this young lady and to use her and to manipulate her. And ultimately, we're alleging that led to her death, whether it be by suicide or by murder. It doesn't change anything. And by the way, although Matthew Farwell has been indicted and jailed, he hasn't been tried or convicted. So what am I supposed to do at this point? Am I supposed to say, okay, well, we're going to go down the murder route, and then when he's found innocent, let's say, for sake of argument, do I have to change the complaint again? So I'm dumbfounded by this motion.
Anything else, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, can I just add something? I also represent the plaintiff. I just wanted to say that we never said anything about intentional tort murder, like Attorney Stowe said. The only thing that changed is that we hired an expert who reviewed the autopsy, and he said that he believes that it was a murder. But at this point, the medical examiner still hasn't changed their determination of the cause of death. So we have conflicting opinions on whether this was a suicide or a murder.
But the complaint contains allegations under the wrongful death statute, as well as assault and battery and civil conspiracy allegations, right?
Correct.
Yes.
All right. All right, I'll take the motion under advisement. I'll issue a decision very quickly. Now, moving on. The town of Stoughton has brought a motion for an in-camera review of materials in its possession. This is all related to a Rule 34 request for the production of documents. And so I looked at the motion and I looked at Judge Cloutier's order, which is an endorsement on paper 57. And I wanted a hearing on this. I want to hear from the town, because reading the order and looking at the motion without having conducted an in-camera review, it occurs to me to ask how it is possible, even in principle, that production of these documents by the town could violate the court's order. And so let me hear from counsel for the town as to how that's possible, even in principle.
Because, thank you, Your Honor. Amy Bretz here again for the town of Stoughton. The reason that it could, because we don't know what the Mass State Police gave the court in camera, right, as a the natural effect of an in-camera review.
Right, but the order that you express concern about is directed at the Attorney General, not at the town, right?
Right. But the order is about state police records, and so Stoughton is in possession of Massachusetts State Police records, because during the town's internal affairs investigation, the Massachusetts State Police turned over 90-something pages worth of documents that was part of their investigation. So that has become part of Stoughton's file, but the proper owner of those documents is the state police. So if the court has deemed some of the Mass State Police documents improper to disclose in this case, we don't want to disclose anything. There's been talk of concerns of an overlap with the federal prosecution, the privacy rights of witnesses, and while the town is prepared to disclose and provide the Mass State Police records it has in its possession, it just is blind, sort of operating without full information. I don't want to know what the Mass State Police via the Attorney General gave to the court. I just want to know, is what we have fair game to produce? And I guess this is why courts probably don't favor reviewing things in camera, because none of us know what was seen. But at because that was ruled, because the court did ask to see the Mass State Police files in camera, we're left with this as our only option before we disclose what we have.
So again, I come to, as a threshold procedural question, how the court's order, which applied to the Attorney General's office, could be violated by the production by the town. And I have a related question. It does not appear to me that the town has objected on its own behalf to the production of these documents. Is that correct?
We're not objecting to their production. In fact, we think that they are discoverable. So it's really out of caution, because if the court, I guess I have a question for you, Your Honor, and maybe that's a little out of, let me know if that's out of order, but my question is the court's position that now that the town has state police records in its possession, they've become the town's records and we are free to disclose them as we see fit?
It is the court's position that the order says what it says. It is directed to the Attorney General. And I have some trouble understanding how that order can be violated by the production of documents by the town. It is also,
go ahead.
Hold on. It is also the case that you are, in a sense, asking for an advisory opinion from the court, which is disfavored. But you could have joined the issue by making your own objection to the production of documents. But as I understand it, you don't make that objection in this case.
No, we don't object. It's really that if the court deemed certain documents improper to disclose, we don't want to disclose the documents that have already been deemed not ripe for disclosure. If the court wants to direct us to decide on our own it's just, we have documents from the state police. The Attorney General's office gave the court an index of a list of documents that they didn't provide to us. And we don't know whether or not those are part of the documents we have. And the court was pretty clear that a lot of what the Attorney General provided was not to be disclosed. So yeah, maybe it is. I think that is what an in-camera review is seeking the court's advice, because we don't know what the ruling was based on. The court was given a password protected hard drive and an index, and we don't know what those are. And then from that, the court ruled certain things should not be disclosed. So if we then go ahead and disclose things that in the court's view are not proper for disclosure, it seems.
Well, but again, the problem is the court's order was made in response to objections to the production. So it seems to me, if you have an objection, you have to make that on behalf of your client, but no objection has been made. All right, does anyone else wish to be heard on this motion?
Well, for the plaintiff, Your Honor, we would like to get the documents. This has been going on for quite a while. We served our request for production of documents quite a while ago. If counsel is concerned, if the town is concerned about protecting witnesses, I suggest they can produce the documents and redact the witnesses' names out. If there's sensitive material in there, they can be redacted. I mean, we're not interested in social security numbers or, at this point, names of witnesses or anything of the like. But we've been waiting for discovery for quite some time now, and I think it's time.
All right, anyone else wish to be heard? All right, I will take this one under advisement and I will issue a decision. This will take perhaps a little longer, but not too long for me to decide. All right, thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks very
Counsel.
much, Your
Thank
Honor.
you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so yeah, that was it. Give me 1 second, trying to get it back on screen. Okay. So what does everybody think about that? It's been going on for way too long, and there's this always constant kicking the can down the road, kick the can down the road, kick the can down the road. Well, you know what? We're running out of road. This stuff should have been turned over a long time ago. It's getting to the point where it's getting laughable. It's like a joke. And it's unbelievable. What the heck was that? Wow. I agree, Barb. I agree. Holy crap. That was a sick joke. Also, hi, awesome people. I agree. Hi, awesome people. I apologize for the technical difficulty. This one was harder. This stream was Zoom call was harder to get on than the other one. I finally figured it out. I actually had figured it out, but I didn't follow my instincts and kind of panicked a little. But now I know for the future, any other hearings, I know the two different styles. I can, for the post-commission hearings and regular hearings, now I know how to do it. Yeah. Thank you, Suzanne, for trying to help me, because I was like, God, crap, what am I doing? Because what the woman said was kind of wrong, because she said I didn't need a code, and it was the code that I had. So anyway, enough of that. Can't believe how long this has been going on for. I agree. It's been going on for far too long. Miss Jessica, welcome, empowering women. Yes, and thank you. I want to give a shout out to Miss Jessica. She's a badass, former military, and also just, an awesome moderator, and she's on top of her shit. So I thank you, Jessica. Carrie, to recap, we missed a few minutes of it because I couldn't get on, but basically they wanted to, I think where we came in was where the plaintiffs were, or the defendants, I should say, were trying to basically, kind of sounded like they were trying to get dismissed. I don't know if that's what everybody else got out of that, because they were saying basically their lawyer, bootleg Louis C.K., and that's saying something. He's trying to make the point that, it's a murder case now, and what are you saying? My client's part of the murder? And no, but you are. Well, we don't. I want to put a caveat. We don't know the whole truth of what happened, what transpired in Sandra's murder, because there's still a lot of information that we don't know. But he was part of why it started. He was part of the grooming and part of the abuse, and so his hands are not clean. He might not have done what Matthew did that night, but his hands are not clean. He's part of this, and it seems like his lawyer wants to be like, well, my client didn't murder her, so you know what? Let's wrap this up. It's done, and that's not excuse me? Calm down. First of all, this is my channel and nobody tells me to calm down. Second of all, this is how I talk. As I've said before, I talk in exclamation points, and if you don't like it, you can leave. I am going to talk how I want to talk. And if you don't like it, you could start your own channel and go talk about this case on your channel. Okay? Yeah. You don't tell me to calm down. Excuse me. Anyway, as I was saying, it seems like he wants to basically say, oh, my client didn't murder her, so our hands are clean. And dude, your hands are not clean. They are far from clean. You are all up in this. Your hands are the ones who started molding this. So, yeah. Stowe also tried to argue that he doesn't get what this so-called grooming is. Yeah, it's like he's a worse version of Bay. For those who don't know, is Bay was my favorite ex-lawyer of William Farrell. He was like my nemesis for a little while. He didn't know he was my nemesis, but he was my nemesis. And but he is gone now. But they're dickish lawyers doing their job, but it doesn't negate that he's a fucking dick. You know, Barb says Divine is a huge part of this. He was communicating with Sandra as much, if not more, than Matthew Farrell. I agree with that. And he met with her not too long before she was murdered at a restaurant and or behind the restaurant. And he is into this as much as them. He might not have been what did her in that night, but he had a lot to do with this. And he groomed those boys, you know, when they were children, when they were teenagers. He groomed them to be like him, to be a predator. That doesn't excuse what they've done, but it's part of the story. So he is up to his eyeballs, probably past his eyeballs into this because, yeah. Yeah, yes, Cherry. He wasn't directly involved, but he was just as responsible. I fully agree with that. As of right now, we know of. We don't know the whole truth. We don't know what communications were going on behind the scenes with these guys. We don't know if they communicated that night or the day before or what was going on. We don't know what happened. I'm not saying anything did happen because I have not seen these communications. But we don't know what was going on behind the scenes with these men either. So, but he definitely is just to blame as Matthew Farrell. You know, Matthew Farrell's the one who decided to walk into that apartment that night. But there was a lot more than just what transpired that night when it comes to Sandra Birchmore's story and to her death. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I apologize again, guys. Next time, the next stream, I will be on point and know what's going on. Nancy. When lawyers start asking the court, someone is trying to be shady because there's no need for this level of confusion. Yeah. It's like... He's not confused. He's just playing like he's confused. We all know he knows what he's trying to do. He just wants to, like I said, he's just trying to represent his client. And unfortunately, he's a piece of shit. And so is his client. So there's that. Divine was a huge part of the grooming process of Sandra. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So everybody knows I need to talk about my stream tomorrow night. Barb and I were supposed to do a stream together, but unfortunately Barb has come down with whatever's going around right now. And she's sick, so she's not going to be able to stream. We are going to make up that stream. I'm not sure when, but I'm going to still do a stream tomorrow night. I have some stuff I want to go over. I've decided, I was getting into a Twitter argument with somebody whose name was something, and they had Mick Albert, and they're part of their name, so that tells you everything you need to know. They were going back and forth with me, trying to say they were mad because we have a standout on the 1st of February, the 4-year anniversary of Sandra's murder, and we're doing it at Canton Police Department at 1:00. And that person said, "Go do it in Stoughton. Don't do it in Canton." And I was like, "What?" I was like, they said, "Oh, the corruption's over there. There's nothing going on in Canton." I'm like, okay. I said, Sandra was murdered in Canton, and they were the first ones on the scene. And this person was basically trying to carry water for the Canton Police Department. So what I want to do is go over the police reports. Basically, I'm going to take everything and start from the beginning on my channel so we can go over everything in the coming months of the documents. There are a few documents to go over. The FBI report will be hard because those are disgusting, and I don't know if I want to read them out loud. So I might do the charging document, not the affidavit. But the Stoughton Police report, that's a 60-page report, so we'll do it in smaller bites. And then go through the Massachusetts State Police report, which is basically a bunch of crap. So I want to do that. So people, because there's a lot of you who, know Sandra's case on the surface, what happened to her, and obviously that she was murdered and she was groomed, but you don't know the ins and outs of the case. So I would like to start going through the documents, and I plan on having guests. Barb's supposed to be my first guest, and so I have a lot of things planned in the coming weeks and months. We have a crazy next few weeks in Sandra Birchmore land for the Justice Group. As I said, on the 1st, we're doing a standout at Canton Police Department at 1:00. All are welcome. If you have light blue, please wear it. If not, if you have blue, otherwise it doesn't matter what you have. Come show up and stand up for Sandra. We have extra signs, but if you can make a sign, that would be great. It'll be a 2-hour. It's 1 to 3. And then that following Tuesday on the 4th is Matthew Farwell's first court appearance since he was arrested. So it's the 4-year anniversary of when Sandra's body was found. So we want to make a big showing there too. We're going to be at the Moakley building in Boston at 9:00 for that. The hearing starts at 10:45. So we want a pretty decent showing, but we'll take any amount of people that we can get, even if it's just our group, to hold our banner or whatever. So we have some big things coming up in the next few weeks. And then I'm going to be planning with I've already spoken to a couple people, Justin Root's sister Jen. We're talking about, once we get past the first week of February, we're planning on doing another Stronger Together event in the coming months. We want to do a few of these up throughout the year to keep putting pressure on, the state police, the governor, all the different entities, obviously Norfolk County DA's office. And we want to keep putting pressure on all these entities because, this isn't over. Just because Matthew Farwell's been arrested, it's not over. There's so much more to this case than just Sandra's murder. It's what happened to her before her murder and what the other guys were doing too. So we have lots and lots and lots of stuff planned and stuff coming out, stuff to do soon. So yeah, so I will be doing another stream tomorrow night at 7:00. So if you're around, please come join us. And we can get into more stuff about the case. Like I said, I want to make sure that I go through, basically, I have a stink bug that has been in this room. I don't really sleep up in my bedroom. And this is a stink bug that has been in my room, and he just flew on in front of me. They don't bother me. It's just when they fly at you a lot, he keeps getting lost. So I'll have to see if I can snatch him after I sign off. Anyway, sorry, ADHD. So yeah, so we have a lot of stuff coming up, and there's a lot of stuff I want to go into so you guys can really learn about Sandra's case. And I'll have guests on to help me go through some of it. I know, like, Suzanne's in the chat. She's read the documents a million times, so she's really good at knowing the documents. So she's a good one for me to bring up and talk about that stuff. And I plan on having Just on Root's sister on soon. And I'm also going to be bringing Brandon Embry's mom on. And there's a little bit of Brandon's case that especially the Free Karen Reed movement would be interested in, because he had similar injuries to him as John did, and the amount of blood that was there. So hold on one second. I don't want this thing to fly at my face. Anyway, so yeah, does anybody have any questions? Let me see. Let me catch up a little bit. Carrie B, I appreciate all you do for Sandra. Thank you, Carrie. It's a group effort, it's not just me. As you guys will learn once I get Barb up on my show, you'll learn how much Barb, it's like we're an equal partnership. I'm basically the face behind it, and Barb kind of keeps me in check because I'm not fully impulsive, but I can be a little impulsive, and I am quick to speak. So I would check in with her before I would say some things or do some things. Because there's stuff that with how my personality is, how I would, like, if Sandra was my sister or cousin or whatever, how I would be. And I know that's not everybody's style. So I would have to kind of dial. This has been a really good learning experience for me, because I've been able to kind of chill out with some things. But you guys will learn how much behind the scenes Barb has done. And like I said, she's been an equal partner in this. And she has been such a gift to me in this endeavor, because I don't feel like I would have been as successful of getting Sandra's name out there and story out there if I didn't have Barb right next to me doing this with me. And, and then expanding to my team, like, Trisha, Suzanne, Annie, Lorraine, and now Tracy. Am I forgetting somebody? No, I think I got everybody. Sorry if I missed anybody. I'm still a little sick, so my brain is not working all the time. Oh, Lord, Missy, say the word, and I'll help with Canton into, because we carry that's noise. Yep. Let me see. Let me scroll down and see if running on caffeine. OJ was found guilty in the wrongful death civil case after his murder case returned not guilty. This is not uncommon. Yeah, I agree. That's one reason why I was glad that the family did do the wrongful death case, because if the FBI didn't take up the case, there was going to be information that the family was going to be able to shake loose by depositions and documents to be able to present to the public to tell the story a little bit more fulsome, and to swat down the Massachusetts State Police and Canton Police and Michael Morrissey's narrative that she did this to herself. That's why I was glad that they they did the wrongful death case. There are certain parts of Sandra's case that I feel like it was a group effort. Boston Globe, putting out the article about Sandra's case. Even though Stoughton is the one that did this to her, the Stoughton Police Department is why this happened to Sandra, but they did the internal investigation and they dropped it in the public. And then the Case podcast, and then the family releasing, I think the Case podcast and the lawsuit came out about the same time. And then, us, the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group, stepping forward to start pushing her story out there more publicly. It was and then, us within our group bringing in other people to help push her story out, whether it be YouTubers or, working with reporters and stuff like that to basically just keep plugging her story and getting it out there to get the public behind it, to say there's something wrong with this case. Empowering women. I'd appreciate an in-depth look into the case. Knowledge is power. It is. And there's so many aspects of this case that, people don't understand. And people don't fully understand what grooming is. People on the surface understand it, but they don't understand is how much it affects a person's, mind, body, and spirit. And this person is constantly gaslit and manipulated and coerced to basically warp this person's mind to think a certain way. And that's one of the things that I want to go into deeply, to tell Sandra's story, to tell why why some of her actions were her actions, maybe, and explain things. We've never claimed that Sandra was perfect, because she wasn't, but none of us are. I'm not perfect. Lord, I'm not perfect. But what happened to her was not right. And what happened to her informed her decisions going forward in life. What happened to her at 12 and 13, it made her decisions at 23 or 18 go a certain way, So focusing in on grooming and how it affects somebody is very, very important. So that's one of the things that I am going to go into in the next few weeks or month, I should say. I do have a supporter who works in the mental health field and very experienced with this subject. So we just got to nail down when we can get together. Now that I'm getting going with the streaming. Mizzy, I call that spicy, and it's okay to be spicy. Oh, I'm extra spicy. There's like spicy, and then there's extra spicy. I'm always on spice. Yeah, Erica, I can't believe nobody else has been arrested for this. I fully agree. You know, it's annoying, it's heartbreaking, it's infuriating, but it's also motivating because it makes us realize as our group that our work is not done. It is not done till there is more movement on this case, till there are other people behind bars. You know, and also the investigators are held accountable. And that's another reason why I want to start going back through stuff so people can see what was done. And, you know, especially going through the Stoughton report, it'll show you how much the state police had, and it makes no sense that there were no charges, you know, so. Shelly babies. Mizzy, you're fulfilling God's calling for you. He will give you the soldiers. Amen. Thank you. When I took on Brandon Embry's case, I knew after sitting with his mom, I sat with his mom like the whole day when I interviewed her. And I knew walking away from that interview that this was something that I wanted to keep doing. And when, you know, she's the one who asked for me to make the Facebook page and said, you know, I knew that once I did decide that I was going to take on the Facebook page, that I was going to have to jump into Sandra's case. And now I'm glad that I'm able to meld the two, and I'm able to come back to doing, you know, what I was doing before, but use it as a tool to, you know, cover Sandra's case more in depth, you know, because there are questions that I have that I want to ask, you know, professionals that I don't have the answers to, of like, you know, why a law is a certain way, or, you know, can this person be arrested for this after this, you know, things like that. There are questions that I have that, you know, I know a lot about the case, but there are like, you know, some of the mental aspects that I don't know. And just like, you know, the law, why I can't, why none of these guys have been arrested when they have the facts, they have this information. Why? And is there a reason? Is there something in the law that, you know, is there a reason why they can't be arrested? Or is there, you know, is there a conspiracy charge that would make it so they could be arrested, type deal thing? So there's a lot of questions that I have. And I want to get that out to the public too. So, you know, hopefully I can answer more of your questions. So. Let me see. I can't remember the name. Astral Weeks. Hopefully Farwell is giving up all he knows. I'm hoping, but I don't know if he will. You know, his brother is part of the case. So is he going to turn on his brother to not have, you know, it's a capital murder case. So is he going to give up his brother to not to get life? So I don't know. I mean, it's his twin brother, but you know, I just don't know. And Barbara and I were talking about this, I think last week. We were saying, would we rather him plea so the family doesn't have to go through the trial? And, you know, they are going to drag Sandra. They are going to drag her through the mud and back. And would that be, you know, better for the family, or would it be better for them to get all the answers that they have? They, you know, most of the answers that can be answered. That's the question. That's what I want to know. I don't know which way is better. The only good thing is if he pleads, he has to, you know, that they would write the plea deal, and they would say everything that was done, and he would have to basically admit that he did all that to take the plea deal. So that would be good, and there would be her family would be able to get up and make impact statements, victim impact statements, and friends and family can get up there and speak their mind of what they've lost and what he took away from them. So would that be enough? I don't know. I can't answer that question. That might be more for the family to answer, but which way ends up being better? Like I said, they are gonna go after Sandra, and it's gonna be disgusting and ugly. And I am not looking forward to that part, but he's gonna be dragged too. Miss Jessica, grooming is a psychological, physical warfare, and I don't say that lightly. I've been to war. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good way of putting it. Psychological and physical warfare. And if you have read the papers, or if you've read the FBI report, he was relentless with her. Like the text message. I mean, to have, what was it, 37,000 text messages, like, and that's just with him. There are over 50,000 text messages in this case. So those are just with him. That's a lot of fucking texts. Like, that's a lot. And he was relentless. They all were. And, Suzanne and I have talked about this, like when did she get rest? Like they were always constantly texting her and bothering her, and it's how she was treated and demeaned and disrespected, and it's just horrific and horrible. And it's part of what needs to come to light. The public needs to know how bad it was. That it wasn't just, and the public needs to know, because there's this, mentality that because she was 23, that, she wasn't a child anymore, that it wasn't grooming anymore. Grooming doesn't stop. It doesn't end there. I mean, like, look at an abusive relationship. That is kind of a form of grooming. We just don't call it grooming. We call it abuse, domestic violence. It's somebody being coerced and demeaned and disrespected and beaten or hurt, or mentally, psychologically broken down. And it's like, just because she wasn't a child anymore at 23 doesn't mean it stopped. It doesn't mean it ended. It means that it might have changed, but that doesn't mean it's any less, Astro Weeks. It's scary how little is known about grooming and its effects. The sad thing is there's so much information out there. It's just the public doesn't know, and they don't understand how much it can affect somebody's life. How much you take a person who was starting down this path and goals and wanted to go somewhere in their life, and it totally changes their path. It's like, it totally changes their life, their personality, their demeanor, how they interact with people, and it changes everything for that person. And it's sad. It's heartbreaking. Okay, OnlyFan. Just to be clear, I love your show. I came into your show. You love Mizzy. My daughter almost got groomed, but we caught it in time. Thank you again, Mizzy, and Miss Jessica in the chat. I appreciate that, OnlyFan. I appreciate that. I'll take that apology. Let me see. Let me scroll. Barb. Mizzy also knew how to do the FOIA request and all of that too. Plus, she got a great legal mind and understands the inner workings of the justice system. Yeah, it's weird. And also just I've watched a lot of true crime, and I know people think, oh, I watch true crime, I can do stuff. But it's like, I look at it, I watch from not an entertainment aspect. I look at it from like, to see how the person's minds work, like how somebody could devolve so low to commit a murder like this or be like this. And that's why I'm so critical of the police, because I see in some cases where, you see these officers who like retire and they're devastated, haven't solved somebody's murder. And then you have these assholes in the Massachusetts State Police who are just like, oh, she did it to herself. No, she did it to herself. I don't see anything. We don't know anything, and it's like, that bothers me. We pay their salaries. We're the public, and it's a symbiotic relationship, and we give them power over us, but we are also technically their bosses. And the public doesn't take ownership of that enough. We can't make changes in police departments if we don't take ownership of that if we don't make sure that these things are being done to better suit our communities, and make sure that our communities are safe, and our families and loved ones and friends are safe. That's all we want, is to have safety and be able to thrive as a community. And we can't, if we have rogue officers like these three guys, and technically a fourth officer, these four officers running amok and like doing vile, disgusting things to a child. We can't allow, in a civil society, this can't happen. We can't allow this to happen. Let me see. Empowering women. Sandra's story needs to be told, and Mizzy is doing a great job being an advocate. I hope the brainwashing session with the brainstorming session with the documents will be beneficial. So many questions still are unanswered. Yeah, there's still a lot of questions I have. In reading the documents, I've read the take the ones that I'm going to go through first, the Canton Police Department ones, so many times, and like things pop out at you that you didn't see before, and like it's astonishing some of the things that weren't done or they did do, and you're like, why did they do that way? And it just goes more into of what the hell is going on in Canton. And I'm not going to play it, but I am going to go over a, Sandra's aunt called the Canton PD, and how she was told about Sandra's death is horrific. I'm not going to play the recording, but I'm going to see if I can get the transcript or transcribe it myself, so I can show you guys what was said. And that is part of the failure of Canton Police Department, because no one should find out that way, that how her aunt found out. It's unacceptable. It's right there is unacceptable of how their practice patterns and practice are, because no family member should find out the way her aunt found out. Yes, coercive control, exactly, Barb. What up, Trisha? I think I'm almost at the bottom. Astral woman. Your brain isn't fully formed until you are 25. The trauma would have changed everything about her. Exactly. And that's one of the things that people, so many people have said about Sandra, is that she was so intelligent. She was a very, very smart person. I had a family member who said to me that she was smarter than him. And, but when you are groomed and abused, you tend to become emotionally immature. And that was one of the things about Sandra. She was very intelligent, but she was also immature. So she was like a walking contradiction. She was very smart, but also very immature, but also kind and loving too. And hello, Beatrice. Yes, we expect better from our police officers. Yes, we do. We all should expect better. And that's the thing with, people don't understand about calling up the police. There are some people who are like ACAB, all cops are bad, who have that mentality. I don't have that mentality, because I've known cops, and I knew not all of them were bad, but calling them out isn't to make them feel bad. It's to make them change and grow and fix what's wrong. We want our communities to thrive. We want there to be a working relationship with the public and the police. But if the police are doing things like, grooming children, there's an issue with that, There's a big issue with that. Barb. For Matthew Farrell, it was all about power and control over Sandra. And he was never going to stop. He would have found another Sandra to groom and control if left on the streets. Exactly. Because he's not just a predator, he's a super predator. Like he was a disgust. That's why I call him an animal. He is an animal that the Massachusetts State Police left on the streets for 3.5 years. And if the FBI never took up Sandra's case, he would still be on the streets right now. That is scary. That is so scary that this animal, because I don't find him to be a man, was on the streets for 3.5 years. Who else did he hurt? Who else did he hurt? That's what I'd like to know. Who else did he hurt? How many other Sanders are out there? Thank you, Kim. Have a good day. Excuse me. Ugh. I'm finally starting to feel semi-normal. This cold that I've had has been like slow moving. Eric, they can't get away with what they did to Sandra. They're not cops. They're monsters. Exactly. And that's why I call them an animal, because I they're what, as children, we're taught to go to the police if something's wrong. If you get lost, go find a police officer. But excuse me, with guys like this on the streets, who wants to send their kids to go find a cop? And that's sad. As a civil society, we need police officers. We need our communities to be safe. And it can be a thoughtless, thankless job, but they chose this profession. And if you're going to choose a profession like being a police officer, you better be a stand-up person. Our communities need it. We beg and we expect that you do your job and step up and do what's right for the community. Because if you don't want to do what's right for the community, you know what? I think you should retire and quit and go get another job. Hi, Anthony. Thank you for joining us. Suzanne, I'm sorry to say this, but Matthew Farwell could have also hurt his cognitive functions by prior choking incidents. Her cognitive. That's true. And also, to go along with him, I don't like mentioning the kids, but he has a daughter. That's all I'm going to say about it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else. That's scary. Jeannie, no, the state of Massachusetts has not charged him. Brian LTL had the woman who, I can't remember her name offhand, who was planning on running against Michael Morrissey, and she said because the feds stepped up, it's probably something that they wouldn't do. But I don't know if I agree with that, because like Luigi, the guy who killed the insurance CEO, the feds and the state of New York are both charging him. You know what? Derek Chauvin, the feds and the state both charged him. The guys that killed Ahmaud Arbery down in Georgia, the feds and the state both charged them. So that's not always the case. And in an egregious case like Sandra's, I think the state should send a message that we don't want this in our state. We're not going to allow police officers to ever do this again, and make an example of him and charge him also. Boston Barbie, is there a time limit for when they could have filed before they can, or no? Murder is murder. Murder never goes away. Murder charges can be, could be 100 years later. So he could still be charged at any point. The abuse charges, I'm not sure. I know with what happened with the Catholic Church, some laws have changed. And depending on the situation, people can be charged years later. If it was, I don't know if it was made as part of a conspiracy for it could be charged. I'm not sure. But for the murder case, no. The state can charge him 20 years from now if they wanted. So, yes, that's her name. I cannot. Miss Perkins, I can't remember how to pronounce her first name. Juan. I can't remember how to pronounce her first name. I liked her. There was a couple things she said that I didn't like. when she said the part about Just on Roots case, that if new evidence would come forward, that would be something we would like to look into. And I don't agree with that. I think, especially with the high profile cases that they have on their desk, especially the ones where they know that there's been an issue with them covering up for police officers in the Norfolk DA's office, and the unit under the Massachusetts State Police unit under him. I think it would be worth their while, whoever takes over from Michael Morrissey, to do a review of all those cases. If there was a case of that had to do with the police, I think it would be worth for them to do a case review to make sure there was nothing mixed, and maybe sit down with the family. And if they sat down with Jen would bring them all kinds of information. There's tons of stuff that Jen would gladly bring to them, and so on. So I think that's something that whoever takes over for Michael Morrissey, hopefully whoever runs against him beats him, but whoever takes over for Michael Morrissey needs to sit down and do a review of all those big cases. Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, I plan to do a lot more. Not like a ton a week, one or two. I'm still getting over me being sick, but there's a lot of stuff that I plan on going over in the coming weeks and months. Suzanne, the statute rate is very extensive. Mass needs to step up, though, because they are unsafe people. Exactly. And if you have somebody like, the stuff that he said, that the FBI put out, that Matthew Farrell said, is just disgusting. And he's somebody who would offend again. He's not a safe person to be on the streets. And the fact that they, left him on the streets for 3.5 years is just, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Thank you. Today's my first day. I'm starting to feel normal. I still have a bad cough, but I feel better than I have in a while. I still think I will, a few more days left before it runs its course, but I'm definitely feeling better. I think I'm caught up on all that. Matthew Farrell has a very distinct pattern of escalation, and so do the others, especially Divine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Matthew Farrell escalated so far within a few-week period. I mean, from the time that her friend called the police station, and her death, it was, he escalated so fast. And it was weird because he was already escalating his behavior already, like putting his hands on her, pushing her, getting physical with her, and getting her scared. And then all of a sudden, after her friend called, he got really calm. And it was like this switch was flipped, and that was even scarier. When you read the FBI report, it's scary how calm he got, and how he was, asking her for a key to her apartment. He was asking her for the codes. He was, bringing her ginger ale and being kind and nice. And she was kind of like, what is going on? And she was even documenting, like, this is weird, excuse me, so his escalation, like in a short period of time, is definitely concerning. And also just, we don't want this person back on the streets. We already know what he's capable of. He He murdered his own child, not just Sandra. You know, because he couldn't take the consequences of his actions. He didn't just snuff out Sandra's life, of his own child. Like, that's not a healthy person. He's sick in the head. Are there any other questions that anybody has? Again, I will be doing a live tomorrow night at 7:00. It's not going to be the live that I had planned. Right now, there's a thumbnail up for my interview with Barb that we were supposed to do, but Barb is sick, so we're not going to do that. I'm going to do a solo live, and we're going to go through some of the Canton Police report. And I was thinking about maybe pulling some of the news reports from the time when the Stoughton report came out, and then go from there, and then maybe do some question answer. Boston Bambi, exactly. Great point. He killed his own kid. They're monsters. Yes, they are. Yes, they are, especially him. Jenny, he probably considered getting rid a possibility along that. What makes him a monster? He saw her as less than human. He did. Barb and I were talking about this earlier, that, you know, sadly, because he was so sick in the head, the second that him and Sandra, at the age of 15, he started statutory raping her, that was when her life was on borrowed time. I didn't say this like that to Barb, but, you know, because he couldn't go back from there. He knew that from then on, she was a liability, that she had too much on him. And that's sad, and it's heartbreaking, and I wish Sandra could have saw the signs earlier, so she could have somehow just walked away. I don't know if she would have been able to fully walk away, but, you know, I just feel like because of who he is as a person and how sick he is, sadly, these worlds would have always collided like this, because she had too much on him. You know, she had everything on him to destroy his life. Everything to destroy his life. You know? And even if they didn't go after him for the statutory, like, she had the power to destroy his family. Like, not even like take the law under consideration. She had everything to destroy his family. Like, they hooked up weeks before he got married. So it's like, this sick, gross, disgusting, twisted relationship was going on for a long time, and she had everything to not just destroy his career and professionally, but also his family. And it's sad. Oh, Jeannie. I'm sorry, Mizzy, but I'm so glad you've been advocating for Sandra all along. Thank you. I saw a young woman who didn't have a voice anymore, and I didn't see anybody speaking out, and I felt like I had to. I felt like, I it's funny. Before I started the Facebook group, I would go to bed and I would when I would lay down at night, I would take my phone and be like, what's up with that Sandra Birchmore case? And I'd scroll and I was just like, why isn't anything happening? This is insanity. Why is nothing happening? Why is there no movement? Why is nobody talking about this case? Like, even take aside, even if before, we really thought that, I know when I saw the first news thing, I thought she was murdered. But even if you take her murder aside, the fact that 3 police officers groomed this young woman and nobody was talking about it. Like, this story was in the news for like a couple days and then it went away. Like, to me, that was like, I felt like I was in a bizarro world. Like, why was nobody talking about her case? This should have been national news. 3 police officers do this to a young woman from the age of 12 and nobody's talking about it. Like, and it was their own police station saying that they did this to her. I was like, what is going on here? And I couldn't understand that. So like, I would lay down a lot of nights and like scroll and look to see if there was anything out there and get frustrated. And it was like, it was something I knew I wanted to work on, but I just didn't. And it was my friend Sarah that gave me the push. And I felt like it was almost like Sandra was like, Mizzy, tapping me on the shoulder, like, look into my case. And I was like, I'll get to it. And then she pushed Sarah to say, hey, tell her to work on my case. And then we hit the ground running from there. And I would love to know how many people in the Stoughton Police Department knew. That's a question I would love answered. I know it's not something I'll ever get answered. But I would love to know how many officers in that police station knew. Excuse me for 1 second. I would love to know how many police officers knew. Because there is I believe is it Officer Tracy? I can't remember if it's Officer Tracy. There's 2 police officers that Divine worked with at the Stoughton Junior High School. And one of them was Officer Tracy. I can't remember the other one's name, but I don't think that's the one I'm thinking of. And one of them was like at the twins, like I think it was 30th birthday party or something like that, sitting with his wife's father. So he's definitely close with the family. And how much did he know? And if there are other officers who helped cover up this crime, are they still working? That's what I would like to know. I think Officer John O'Keefe knew something. There is no proof of that. I don't know, but there's no proof of that. So to me, that's speculation. And it's definitely been a rumor that's been out there. But I know a lot of people think because he worked, in that aspect of policing that he might have known, but there's no proof of that. Trust me, if I had proof, I would definitely make that connection. I would definitely scream that from the hilltops that there's a connection between the 2 cases. But as of right now, I don't have any proof of that. No, I know it's just your opinion, and I get that. A lot of people have said that. Hey Dana, how's it going? A lot of people have tried to make that connection between, John O'Keefe and Officer O'Keefe and Sandra that he possibly knew something. I don't, you know, there has been no proof of that out there, but stranger things have happened, you know. But as of right this moment, I can't say that that's something that's the truth that we have any proof on. So I can. I'm doing excuse me, I'm doing okay. Still trying to get better, but I'm slowly getting there. Did anybody have any other questions or comments or anything you'd like to share with the class? No, I don't necessarily. Oops, sorry, wrong one. I don't necessarily think that's not something we won't find out. You never know. We might find out. Somebody who worked with him, or you know, maybe somebody else will come across it, or there's a whistleblower or something. We might find out, but as of right now, I don't have any proof of that. I wish I did. I wish I had proof either way. So Boston Bambi, when is the next court date again? Matthew Farwell's court date is February 4th. It's at the Moakley Building in Boston. It will not be televised because it's a federal case. There is no cameras allowed in federal courtrooms. We are doing a standout the day before that morning at 9:00. So if anybody wants to come and join us, we'd love to have you there. And then the hearing is at 10:45, but we will be there at 9:00 to, you know, we won't have a ton of signs that day because normally for our standouts, Trisha, sign queen, brings a bunch of signs of extra signs for people to hold. But because we're all going to go in for the hearing, we're not bringing a lot of signs. I have one that I could fold up and put in my purse, and we'll have our banner. So if anybody doesn't plan on going in and you want to hold a sign, we'd love for you to do that. But yeah, so it's February 4th at 10:45 is the hearing, but we will be there as a group at 9:00 at the Moakley Building in Boston. Thanks, Mary. That's what I usually do. I usually watch people on TV, on my TV, and then I'll go into the chat room on my phone. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just watch on the TV, and I don't feel like chatting. But that's what I usually do. I prefer to watch it on my TV. Suzanne, the court documents say that Matthew Farwell has to appear in person, but who knows that too. We'll do. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. I hope he's there. I hope he's there so I can give him a little smirk, you know, be like, yeah, motherfucker, we did this. We helped do this, you know. Because I know he, every time he sees our group and thinks about our group, he knows we are the bane of his existence. You know, if he ever had to drive through Stoughton when we were doing our standouts, you know, I'm sure we are the bane of his existence. I read Matthew Farwell as a mother effer, not. Well, that's why his initials are perfect, because I say motherfucker or Matthew Farwell. So he has the perfect initials because that's what he is. I bet he looks shittier than Divine lately. I'm sure he does. I spoke to somebody who worked, she doesn't work there anymore, who worked in the where he's being housed, and he doesn't even take, he's under protective custody, so he gets an hour out of his cell, a day, and he doesn't even take the hour. He just goes and showers and goes back in. So he's living a miserable existence right now. And I hope Sandra haunts him every day. I would love to see the day that you can tell him how and what you did. Bravo. Oh, I think he knows. I'm pretty sure they know. All the work that our group has done, not just me, but especially since I've been the face of the group, I'm sure they know my face. But I can't wait to see him. Like, I want him and I to catch eyes so I could smirk at him. And I'm sure Barb is thinking the same thing, just to give him that smile, like, yeah, we got you, motherfucker. Yeah, he has the worst fate of being in control of nothing now. Yep, and I mean, it, for somebody who's a control freak, it seems like, oh, that stupid bug crawled on me. Sorry, for those who don't know, I have a stink bug in my room, and it was just crawling on my arm. Yuck. Ugh. Um, he's a coward. He won't look at you. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to take the seat of a family member, like right in the front row or anything like that. That, family, obviously, they get to sit up front, and they deserve all for him to see their faces, more than he deserves to see my face. But uh, but yeah, I want to smirk at him. Hey Scott, how's it going? Good to see you too. Oh, they're relentless. They crawl in through any little cracks that you have in your windows. Like, if your window isn't like fully sealed, like, they're like mice. They have a hard shell, but they, like, compress themselves to get in. They're relentless. There was one year that they were really, really, really bad up here, and I was like catching them like 5 a day. It was just like, are you kidding me? Why is there so many coming to the house? It was one of those really, really warm winters we had. And then the temperature dropped. So I started getting them in my house really bad. Oops. Thank you, Bob. No, I think, you guys all loved Sandra and your family, and you guys have been waiting obviously longer than I have. And I could sit in the second or third row on the end so he can see me. Trust me, when the first time I see him in person, I'm gonna have like the biggest shit-eating grin. Shoot, I'll sit behind him just so he has to see me. um, Yeah, who knew? Oh Lord, stink bugs are the worst. You can't smash them because they will. My dog, my old dog who passed away already, but she used to like kill them, and she'd like play with them, and it was just like, oh, Lyric, why do you keep doing that? This, you know. Um, Hi Dennis, how you doing? I think I caught up. Does anybody have any questions, any concerns, anything they want answered? Like I said, I'm gonna be doing a show tomorrow night at 7. So thanks, Barb, and I love you guys too, and I'll be happy to sit with you guys. You know, I'll be it's gonna be, you know, on the 4th is gonna be a good day to finally be able to sit in a courtroom and be able to have him just be able to finally sit in a courtroom, you know. All right, bye, Barb. I know this whatever's going around right now is horrid, and it takes forever to get rid of. And go rest up because we need you next weekend. So definitely, I hope you feel better. I'll talk to you later. I'm not going to be on much longer, so I'll be able to watch the page. So, does anybody have any questions? Again, what I was saying, we have 2 standouts coming out. February 1st is the 4-year anniversary of Sandra's murder. It's going to be at Canton Police Department at 1:00. Some housekeeping when it comes to it. Do not park at the church next to the police department. You will get a summons and have to go to court. And we are not allowed to use their bathroom anymore. So make sure you stop at a restroom or before you stop in, because we're not allowed to use their restroom. So, but, and then on the 4th, we will be at, on February 4th at the Moakley building at 9:00. We will be in Boston for Matthew Farwell's hearing. And it's the 4-year anniversary of Sandra's body being found. So 2 very big days for us in the very beginning of February when it comes to the justice for Sandra Birchmore, and getting her case out there. And we would like to have a good crowd for both days. So if you're available to come, please do, because there's going to be a lot of press there on the 4th. So a good showing there would be great. And then on the 1st, just because it is the 4-year anniversary, and this is the first year that we officially get to say that Sandra was murdered on February 1st. Yes, we've all been saying this for years, but this is the first year, 2 pathologists have said that Sandra Birchmore was murdered on February 1st by Matthew Farwell. So we want to make sure that we're out there for her on, Canton Police's lawn, making sure the people of Canton don't forget her name either, because, it's very important that people in Canton know that she was murdered in their city limits. She wasn't murdered in Stoughton. Yes, all the abuse came from Stoughton. Matthew Farwell was a former Stoughton police officer. Robert Devine and William Farwell are both Stoughton police officers. But Sandra was murdered in the Canton town's limits. So, I already talked to the police chief, and she knows we're coming. And so that's already been worked out. We just can't park at we can't park it at the church. Don't want anybody to get, a summons or a ticket or whatever from, for parking there. So, yeah, if you're interested, please come. And like I said, we have extra signs for people to hold. We have a big banner for people to hold. If you want to make a sign, please make one. We don't know how big our crowd is going to be. We're hoping to get a good sized crowd, like I said, because it is the 4-year anniversary, and it's the first year we can say that Sandra was murdered on this day. We have doctors and the FBI and the DOJ have officially said that Sandra Birchmore was murdered on February 1st, 2021. Yes, it's showing. Thank you, Nancy. You're doing amazing job getting justice for Sandra. Thank you. It's myself and a bunch of people. It's a group of people, and as I said earlier in the stream, that there's different things that kind of made this all come together. There was the Boston Globe doing their first article, putting her story out there in 2022 before anybody knew about what was going on. When the Stoughton Police Department dropped their report in September of 2022, the family doing their lawsuit, the Case podcast, and then us, the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group coming out. Those, I think, are the 5 aspects that really pushed, drove Sandra's case. We've been kind of the ones pushing it over the edge, but and then obviously the FBI and DOJ coming in and investigating and getting the job done, doing what Massachusetts State Police and Michael Morrissey's office didn't do. Happy birthday, Gina. Let me see. Let me just scroll up and make sure I didn't miss anything. It won't let me scroll up. Oh, that's great, Scott. It'll be good to see you at both. Scott was one of our early supporters. I would see him in the chat rooms, like on podcasters' chats or YouTubers' chats, making comments about her, and he also followed us on the Justice page. So he's been and he came to a lot. He's come to a lot of our standouts, and people from the Free Camera movement. Scott goes to everything for her, and Scott's been a long time supporter, and and I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Suzanne, there are no close bathrooms to PD, so easy on the coffee, folks. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when she said that, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, are you kidding me? Stoughton Police Chief McNamara was a huge disappointment in all this, besides the obvious scumbags. Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's more that she could have done. And I feel like that I've said this a lot, that I feel like the Stoughton, although I'm happy that they did the internal investigation, I feel like it didn't go far enough. that they just went up to the edge and then stopped and said, yeah, we're good. We're good. We're going to stop there. And that's disappointing because I think that they could have found out if there was more victims. Although I don't know how much behind the scenes that she did when it comes to the FBI, and I wonder that. I doubt I'll ever have the answers to that. You know, I agree with what Suzanne just said, Scott. Agree, Scott. She's a political creature, and she is, definitely is. Marsha Smith. I'm curious if MF's family is standing behind him, like Proctor's wife is standing behind him. I'm not sure. I did speak to his wife for a couple minutes. She messaged me because she was angry at something that was posted on our page that had to do with the kids. So, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out on the 4th. You know, but Michael Proctor and Matthew Farwell are two different animals. I mean, yes, Michael Proctor's a piece of shit, but he didn't groom and murder a girl. He's got that going for him. He just covers up murders for other cops. He's just a piece of shit that, you know, plants evidence. So you kind of can't compare them, but I agree. Michael Proctor is a scumbag piece of shit. Suzanne. Brian Holmes left it open to doing more, but he left. Let's hope FBI did more. Yeah. I agree. And you could tell there was no love lost between him and Robert Devine. Like, he called Robert Devine a fucking liar. I don't know how many different ways. Like, he used different adjectives to call him basically a piece of shit liar. And, you know, like I said, their investigation was pretty good, except, you know, I don't feel like they went far enough. That's my issue with their internal investigation. It was almost like, let's stop the bleeding, let's get these motherfuckers, and let's not totally fuck the whole station. You know, we have to continue to operate, and we need the public to continue to trust us. So we, at no point can we implicate anybody else type deal thing. And I personally don't think that the way they should have went. You know, there are a lot of people that I feel like they didn't interview, and so, but it's crucial that what transpired from them doing this investigation, you know, her case got pushed more, you know, and it was a tool for us all to use to be able to say, listen, it's not me saying this. It's the Stoughton Police Department that's saying that you groomed her. It's not me saying this. It's, you know, it was such a tool for us to use. As of right now, it's still happening. Unfortunately, the other times that it was canceled, we only found out a couple days before. So we might not find out till Friday or Monday if it's going to be canceled. I mean, it's going to be, I mean, this isn't the only one there's going to be. There's going to be plenty of court dates. This is the first one since he was arrested in August. They've all been pushed back. So, and his defense has had plenty of time to go through a lot of the evidence that they needed to go over to go through the status hearing. So it should happen. And I think it was divined that day, and not to use the word divine, but I think, it's cosmic that it's happening on the 4th. The it to happen on the 4-year anniversary of her body being found is kind of wild. Exactly, a cop out. Literally, yeah, definitely. Matthew Farwell's mother seems to be in movie level denial of having a psychopathic son. 2 psychopathic sons. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if his mom's there and to see if his wife is there and who's there to support him. That'll be interesting to see. That'll definitely be interesting to see. So yeah, I agree. Sometimes things are just meant to be, and maybe that's why it just kept getting pushed back till the 4th. It's the first time that we can say that, because on her death certificate it says the 4th is the day of her death, and it's not. It's the 1st. We have always said it was the 1st, but her death certificate still says it's the 4th, and so that needs to be changed too. And that's one of the things that I think we're going to try to work on over the next months, is to figure out what the medical examiner is up to and what they're doing and why they haven't changed her death, and if they're doing a review on her case, because there needs to be a review on there needs to be an autopsy review to find out what went wrong and why this medical examiner looked past all the signs, especially a broken hyoid bone, and considered it that she did it to herself, because the hyoid bone being broken should have been the first indication that she didn't do this to herself. In time, we'll go after the Emmys offers. Oh yeah, that's definitely on the list. Marsha Smith. My son is a federal marshal. If he had done such, I never support him. I would turn my back on him and walk away. Yeah, I mean, and it's not even just the fact of him murdering her. It's the abuse, and reading that, excuse me, the FBI affidavit is disgusting. It's like you want to take a shower after reading it. It's so vile and disgusting. So, does anybody have any other questions? Because I'm starting to cough. So again, I'm going to change the thumbnail on my other video that shows that an episode I'm supposed to do tomorrow night. I am no longer having Barb on because she is sick, but I am going to still do an episode. So I just wanted to, me and Barbara will do a makeup. We will do a makeup with Barb once we get past probably the standouts we have coming up the first week of February, because we have a bunch of events. So if there, Scott McGinnis, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Medical Examiner's Office is a huge problem. They are not an independent and completely influenced by the DA's office and the state police detectives. Exactly. And that's the problem, is medical examiners should be independent. Yes, they have to work hand in hand with the police, and they do get information from the police, but they are supposed to operate independent from the police department. And clearly they aren't. And clearly this state police, the Norfolk DA's office unit underneath Michael Morrissey, the Massachusetts State Police unit under Morrissey, they have no problem putting their finger on the scale and pressuring the medical examiners in that office. Sadly, it says, why is the Commonwealth Medical Examiner of Massachusetts Medical Examiner Office so effed up? Sadly, this happens in a lot of jurisdictions. You'd be surprised at how many medical examiners fuck up, or how many medical examiners just take what the police tell them and as you know, gold, and that's how they make their rulings. And basically the police will tell them what they want, and the medical examiner will kind of backtrack and try to fit that into basically fit a square peg in a round hole type deal situation. And it happens a lot. And when I've talked to Brandon Embry's mom, that's one of the things we're going to talk about, because she's done a lot of investigating into medical examiners' offices across the country and finding, you know, a lot of them that are derelict in their duties. So, all right, guys, I am going to sign off because I'm starting to feel like I'm going to start having a coughing fit, and you guys don't want to hear that in your ears. So, again, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a live at 7 p.m. and we're going to go over the Canton Police's reports and probably play some videos of when some news clips and stuff from when she was found. So yeah. So I'm gonna sign off, guys. You guys have a wonderful night. I'll see you tomorrow. I am Mizzy, and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed up world. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.